What's happening, party people? Welcome back to the news. It's the first of the month. We got gaming news. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 11 articles to get through today, or at least just to talk about. We're starting earlier. I don't have as much time as usual, or at least I've got something came up right in the middle of the usual streaming time, so I won't be able to stream for as later, so we're starting earlier. I had more articles, but realistically, there were a couple articles that condensed all the information into one, so we're just gonna go with those articles. But first of all, since it is the first of the month, new shirt designs over in the shirt shop. That is silverlinings-shop.fourthwall.com. Link should be... we can just pop up a link here in chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the link should be below. Take a propaganda at these nuts is the shirt. This is just a what's the word I'm looking for? Where a homophone propaganda. It's something that I've had in my head for a while, and I feel like this should have been last month's shirt design. In all honesty, for July, but I wanted to design a shirt just around America and how bad it's been, specifically with propaganda and how much they've been force feeding us shit. So that's what we have here. That's literally it. The last couple of months, there's been a handful of designs as part of, like, collections. This month, there's only just one new design, but it comes in long sleeve as well as short sleeve. We've got a handful of different colors. Let me tab in so I can see my mouse. Got some colors. But yeah, that's going to be available in the shirt shop for the foreseeable future. And of course, as always, there's other stuff in the shop. We've got the box. We've got all of the previous collections, including the migraine shirts. I'm wearing a migraine shirt today. The Rest in Peace Public Domain is one that I really enjoy. We have the Paradise collection. But yeah. All these shirts are available over in my shop, linked in chat, or linked below if you're watching this on YouTube. Let's just jump into the news. We're going to start with one of the more recent, and by recent, it looks like this article is from yesterday. I'm sorry, posted yesterday, updated yesterday. There was a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. We were talking about this a little bit during the stream yesterday, just because it was new. It was something to talk about. But realistically, there was only a couple of things here for me. And the couple of things here for me are not Switch 2 exclusives. But we'll just do a quick run down the bulleted list. We've got some new information on Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. More of how it connects to Tears of the Kingdom. I believe they're using the Hyrule Warriors games to bridge the gap between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There was Age of Calamity, and then Age of Imprisonment as a sequel to that one. I haven't played these. I like the idea of Dynasty Warrior games. I've played a couple of them. And not even real Dynasty Warrior games. I played a Naruto game on the PSP by the same company. But yeah, just more information on Age of Imprisonment. That was the first headliner. So, you know, exciting for people who... This is probably the closest we'll get to a first-party Nintendo franchise in the partner showcase. It is by a third party, but it's Zelda. Monster Hunter Stories 3. Exciting for Monster Hunter Stories fans. These are technically spin-off. It's a different line of games than the Monster Hunter games. I don't know as much about them. These were handheld games, I believe. Monster Hunter Stories, I believe were DS or 3DS games that I never got around to play. I've played a little bit of the larger mainline Monster Hunter games, but this is cool for Monster Hunter fans in general. You know, they just got Monster Hunter Wilds earlier this year, late last year. And, yeah, more Monster Hunter. Okay, Octopath Traveler 0. This one confused me, because I've been told that I've been told that Octopath Traveler, let me get some coffee, wake up a little bit more, it is early. I've been told that Octopath Traveler is a anthology series that you can play Octopath 2 without having played Octopath 1. And I would love to play Octopath 2 if it fixed like all of the little like hiccups in the gameplay stuff, if it just streamlined everything, if it was only a boon and a gain to the formula. I'd play Octopath 2. But Octopath Traveler 0 is touted as a prequel, which is interesting to me. I'm curious how it is a prequel. I played a little bit of Octopath 1, haven't played Octopath 2, but it's that new square design of the HD 2D look. It started with Octopath 1, Octopath 2 looked like this, the Dragon Quest 3 remake looks like this, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, HD 2D remake, like this is just a new style. It's unfortunate because this is the same effect, in my opinion, as the Spider-Verse movies. Looks like a weird single-player port take on the mobile game? Was there a standalone Octopath mobile game? Interesting. So they're doing what Kingdom Hearts should have done with Union Cross and made that a standalone single-player version. Yeah, so with the Spider-Verse movies, people were like, there's 2 of them? There's 4 Octopath Traveler games? So with the Spider-Verse movies, people said, oh, wouldn't it be great if there were just more movies that look like this? This movie looks awesome. Like, let Sony cook. We need more movies that look like this. Well, my issue is becoming that Square Enix has a lot of games that are starting to look like this, and it doesn't feel as special anymore. These games look very nice, I will say. These games look incredible, but not uniqueness isn't the word I'm really looking for. It's worn off. The glamour of it has worn off for me. When I first saw Octopath Traveler 1 and then Octopath 2, which was just a nicer looking Octopath, yes, this style looks great for Octopath. I saw it with the Dragon Quest games, and I thought, okay, I love the first 3 Dragon Quest games. Those are the only ones I've played. Give me new versions of those games. That's incredible. They look like this? Awesome. These games look fine. See how I said fine? It's starting to... Having so much of it makes it feel less special. Just play Octo 2 gameplay. I will play Octo 2. Let me see if it's still on sale on PlayStation. I think I saw that it was like 60% off on PlayStation. Hang on. Okay, it is no longer on sale on PlayStation. But I swear I will play it. I swear I will play it. But the reason why I bring all this up is because there will be another game that we see from Enix later in the showcase that is also in this style. And seeing that game is where I said, okay, you know, it did not catch me at all. You know, I saw the style and it just did nothing for me. Oh, there it is. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. Let's play a little bit of this. It's in the HD 2D style. And again, it looks nice, but there are already, like, many other games that look like this. I know this is just going to be Enix's style going forward, but it's gonna be, you're gonna have to sell me on something unique at this point, because the style itself is no longer a selling point, I guess, is my point. Oh, good. So earlier when I looked at this, there were some video links, some trailer links, just gone. All right, Final Fantasy Tactics. This was shown off earlier this year, and this is exciting for Tactics players. I know a lot of people who really love the Tactics games. So, fully voiced dialogue, enhanced graphics, tons of gameplay improvements. I don't remember in particular what the gameplay improvements are, but that sounds just like a whole heap of new stuff for Final Fantasy Tactics fans. Madden, you're going to get an American football game on the Switch too. EA Sports Football Club 26, you're going to bring European. You got American football, you got the rest of the world's football coming to Switch 2. You have Persona 3 Reload coming to the Switch 2. I really wanted to look at this one some more. Hella stars an adorable mouse with a magical frog backpack. Online and local co-op. This got me. Local co-op. We need more local co-op games. Local co-op is a dying breed. But yeah, inspired by Scandinavian folklore, this looked really cute. I'm excited to see more of it. I think it's gonna go on. It's gonna go in the pile of let me read reviews. Star Wars Outlaws coming to Switch 2. We actually have a story, an article later about Star Wars Outlaws. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted. We have a brand new iteration of. Mute that because that's very loud in my ear. Yeah, it's Plants vs. Zombies. It's just Plants vs. Zombies. And for anybody too young to remember Plants vs. Zombies, the hell, why are you so young? Get out of here. Chronos, The New Dawn. Risen, I think you were the one that said that this looked very Dead Space. I want to give Bloober Team a chance. They haven't made a lot of games that have really caught my interest. A lot of their games that I haven't played have reviewed very mid. But I loved Silent Hill 2 Remake. I'm excited for Silent Hill 1 Remake. It could just be that I like Silent Hill. But Bloober Team has said they're done making shit games. So I want to give this a chance. I do want to give this a chance. Once Upon a Katamari. This was the thing I was the most excited for. Once Upon a Katamari. I love the Katamari games so much. They are fascinating to me because I did not grow up with Katamari. I only played my first Katamari game when it got like ported to the PS4. I think it was Katamari Damacy or We Love Cat. It was Katamari Damacy. Katamari Damacy Reroll. When that got ported to the PS4, brand new HD version. That was the first time I played Katamari. And I've since played the other ones, all the ones that have been ported forward. And what's fascinating about these games for me is they push the same button of nostalgia. I get the same serotonin when I play old Ratchet and Clank games. But I only played the first one of these within the past, 6-7 years? Something like that. Like, I haven't even had the Katamari games for a decade. But they push that same button in my brain, which is fascinating to me. So I'm curious to see if a brand new one will do the same thing. If playing a brand new one will activate the same neurons in my brain. I'm so excited for Once Upon a Katamari. And it's coming to other consoles, too. So that's exciting. Exciting for me. Chillin' by the fire. It looked... People like their cutesy, cozy games. That's the word I'm looking for. Chillin' by the Fire is a new campfire sim game. Task players with keeping their flame alive on beaches, forests, snowy mountaintops, and more. I might just look up some reviews of this. Every now and then on stream, I do like playing a very chill game. You know, Valhalla unfortunately didn't end very chill. It actually got very real towards the end of it, and that was very distressing for me. But Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood was very chill. I love very chill puzzle games, you know, Cocoon, Viewfinder, Unpacking was a very chill day. So this might be one of those. I might look into it, you know, look at howlongtobeat.com, because this feels like an Unpacking to me, where you can just hang out. So this might be one of those. Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2 brings the updated version of the PS2 classics to Switch 2. I'm playing Spiritfarer as we speak. It's a very chill as well. Kind of has a Stardew Valley play pattern. Really? Because I've seen some gameplay of Spiritfarer, and it seemed more like platformer-esque. Like almost Dust in Elysian Tale is how it looked to me. I don't know why that game in particular, like, came to mind. Like, pulling that just out of my brain. Dust and Elysian Tale. Spiritfarer looks really cute. Did that recently... I can't remember if I got that recently, or if that was added to the Gameplay Plus, or the PlayStation Plus catalog for free. It's not there. Did I get it on Steam? Yes, okay, I have it on Steam. That's where I have it. I think it was part of, like, Steam Summer Sale. It was, like, $5 or something. So I was like, yeah, sure. This looks cute. So yeah, I'll play that one eventually as well. But anyway, after Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2. Use platform to get around small islands in your boat. But for 90% of the game, you're just running around your boat, watering plants, making food, crushing rocks. That sounds real chill. That sounds almost... Yeah, I guess Stardew Valley. It has a very, like, Minecrafty, Terraria kind of a resource management. You know, use your resources to make bigger stuff so you can harvest more resources. It sounds very chill. Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2 coming to Switch 2. I'm about to start Yakuza Kiwami 2 on stream. Really excited for that. We are literally like one story mission away from finishing Borderlands 3 Melee only. We are right at the end. And then it tied with Yakuza Kiwami 2. So we will be starting Yakuza Kiwami 2 on stream very soon. I'm very excited. These are great games, and more people get to play them, the better. If more people can be introduced to these games, the better. I've been loving them, and I've only played 3 of them. Judgment, Zero, Kiwami. I've only played a handful of them, barely a handful of them, and I'm excited. Pac-Man World 2 Repack. I immediately texted my partner. If people remember Kathina from the Fire Emblem stream, which we will be doing more of those. It's just hard to find days that overlap for us. Like, she's at work, and my schedule is going to be changing very soon. So we're going to have to find, you know, we might have to do later streams. That's something I guess I'll talk about a little bit. With my schedule changing very soon, streams might be starting either very early or very late. I'm probably not going to be able to keep the same consistent stream schedule. I will still try to stream at least 3 days a week. What I stream is going to vary. We're still going to be doing polls in the Discord server, so people can vote on the games that I play. But it's going to be... It's all kind of up in the air for me right now. I'm going to try and stay as on schedule as long as possible until finally something breaks and I'm going to have to switch things up. But I immediately texted my partner about Pac-Man World 2 Repack because this is the one that she grew up on. She grew up on Pac-Man World 2. I didn't grow up on either of these games. But a friend of mine, when he was moving out of the country, he spent a year abroad studying in like, I think Germany, over in Europe. He was like, hey, I'm downsizing, I'm putting stuff into storage. I have a PS1 that I don't use anymore. Do you want it? The only caveat was that it was a little busted, so I just had to fix up this PS1. I love working on old consoles like that. Soldering, I had to change out the spring mechanism, the locking mechanism for the disc tray. I had to put a new ribbon cable in it. Like, I had fun, like, actually sprucing up this PS1. But it came with the original Pac-Man World, and then I played Pac-Man World Repack, like the HD remake. I played that a little bit in my own time. Fun games. So I'm excited for this one. My partner's excited for this one. It's a good time. Just Dance, it's Just Dance. Apex Legends, it's Apex Legends. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Is this another fighting game? Oh my god, there we go. Yeah, it's another Dragon Ball fighting game. Pre-order bonuses. Gross. Look at this bullshit. Yeah, honestly, a lot of the showcase was just games that you already know about are coming to the Switch. They're still making those Just Dance games. Well, they keep making consoles that have peripherals that work for them. Like, even after the Kinect died, they were still making Just Dance games for the Wii until 2018. A year after the Switch was out, they were still making Just Dance games for the Wii. I worked at GameStop at the time, and we got like one copy of it in, brand new. And I was baffled. But yeah, the Switch too, you still have like the Joy-Cons and stuff. Like, they have to be turning a profit, or they're still making them. But how much? Who is getting excited for these? Probably the same people that get excited for, like, the Kids Bop game. Or the Kids Bop CDs, right? Or That's What I Call Music. It's really just like a best-of collection of current pop music. You know? I'm sure it's getting somebody excited. I think it's Ubisoft's secret weapon that's been keeping them afloat as games like Star Wars Outlaws undersell according to their metrics. According to their internal metrics, games like Star Wars Outlaws are underperforming, which we'll also get to. Dragon Ball, quick hits, Borderlands 4 coming. I'm excited for Borderlands 4. It's really hard to get me excited for games nowadays. It truly is. However, in replaying Borderlands 3, I feel like I was very harsh on it. I think the gameplay loop is still incredibly fun to play. I think the skill trees are very fun and fluid. The story's just ass. And the story for 4 actually sounds okay. So if they fixed the one issue that I had with 3 and made the story for 4 good, and have, you know, a more fleshed out gameplay loop that was already really tight, sure. Romancing Saga, Hello Kitty Island Adventure, Shinobi, Art of Vengeance. And NBA, you're getting a basketball game. So we have Just Dance, basketball, football, and football. Good Night Universe. This is the only one I don't remember. I don't remember what Good Night Universe was, but it's coming to Switch too. Sorry if it feels like I kind of shotgunned through that list. I just don't have as much time today. But yeah, lots of things we already knew about were coming. Some cool announcements like Octopath Traveler 0, Pac-Man World Repack 2, Once Upon a Katamari. Alright, now for some not so good news. Actually, no, this one is fine. Yeah, there's just some other ones. Okay. Sony wants to bring PlayStation games beyond PlayStation hardware, including to Xbox. Just real quick, I have always said that exclusivity has always been a terrible thing. It used to sell consoles. having a library of exclusive games used to sell consoles. But nowadays, nobody is jumping ship from an ecosystem that they have generations of consoles paid into. Like, I have paid into the PlayStation ecosystem since the PlayStation 3. I'm 3 generations deep into PlayStation. Beyond that, I grew up on PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. So, like, this is an ecosystem that I have very deep nostalgia for and also sunk a lot of money into. There's not a single Xbox game that I would jump ship for. I'm not even jumping ship. Like, I'm not paying for another current gen console like an Xbox or a Switch 2 for a single game. There's not a single game that will get me like that. I know I'm not alone in that. You know, there are plenty of people. Plus, Xbox also doesn't care about exclusivity anymore. A lot of their games have been coming to PlayStation. A lot of their games immediately also launch same day on Steam. There are games coming to the Switch. And I feel like exclusivity in the current day and age of the console market is only ever a bad thing. If you are exclusive, that means less people get to play your game, you move less units, and if you're one of the artists or one of the contributing people that worked on getting this game made, less people get to see your hard work, get to see the art that you spent years working on. If things aren't exclusive, reverse all of that. More people get to play your game, more people get to experience the art that you spent years working on. You as a company get to move more units. Like, PlayStation games, like if Spider-Man goes to Xbox, you're gonna see a huge, like, sale in Spider-Man games. Because the games themselves are really solid. But there's not a single game like Spider-Man, God of War. There's not a single PlayStation game that I would say is worth buying a whole PlayStation for. There is no game that is worth $570. Cost of the game, cost of the console. After tax, there is no game that is worth $600. That is 10 times the MSRP of PS4 games. The old standard. But yeah, this is PlayStation is looking to hire people to bring PlayStation games to other consoles, planning for Xbox and PC. That's really the whole article is. I just think that this is good and this is important for expanding horizons. You know, like, there are some Xbox games that I don't really look at because I don't have an Xbox. I'm not really worried about them. I'm not even worried about getting them on Steam. It's just something not on my radar. But if you bring them to PlayStation hardware, where I already am invested in the trophy system, like the trophy ecosystem, I have my platinum trophies, and that gives me serotonin. Forza. I got, like, Forza Horizon 5. I got... actually, somebody bought me the new Indiana Jones game for my birthday earlier this year for PlayStation. Like, these Xbox games coming to PlayStation, where I can, you know, get the trophies that do good things for my brain, and, you know, get to play on my couch, you know, much more comfortably just over on my couch. Like, that really helps. That goes a long way for the gameplay experience for me, personally. Is the comfort in which I can enjoy the game just over on my couch. Instead of just sitting in... Because this office chair is comfy. This office chair is okay. This is a pretty comfortable chair, I'm not gonna lie. But it's not as comfortable as my couch for prolonged periods of time. It is how it is. Alright. Sony is suing Tencent over Shameless Horizon knockoff game Light of Motorum. This game was announced months ago, and I think we all drew the comparison. I think we all drew the comparison of Light of Motorum to Horizon. Just pause. No, pause that. Don't play that. Yeah, here we go. Oh, God. Side by side, it's so much worse than I thought. Side by side, that's crazy. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that this lawsuit finally happened. I think we all knew that the lawsuit was gonna happen. I wonder if they're looking to settle, or wonder for how much they're suing for. Not only identical story and gameplay themes, cultural character element, but also art style, landscapes, architectural and art elements, color palettes, fonts, symbols, lighting, and points of view are also highly similar. Sony says that Tencent began developing Ubi-Problem in 2023 and approached Sony at the 2024 Game Developers Conference to ask for a licensing deal to develop its own Horizon game. Sony turned them down. Tencent kept developing anyway. Sony also claims it approached Tencent informally to resolve the copyright dispute once it became aware of the game, but when it did so, Sony said Tencent tried once again to license Horizon. Sony once again refused, and Tencent allegedly moved forward with the game's promotion and playtests. Oh, here we go. Damages up to $150,000 for each separate work in Horizon that has been infringed. Oh my god. $150,000 for each separate work in Horizon that's been infringed. So if they say that the story, gameplay, I'm gonna say like cultural elements aren't, you can't really copyright character elements in terms of, I mean, you can obviously hold copyright on a character design, but character elements to me reads as like, oh, this person is coded a certain way. You can't really copyright that. But we'll just say like story, art style, landscape, architectural art elements, fonts, symbols, and I mean, each one of these things has dozens of different, if for art elements, if they are claiming a copyright issue on art elements as individual works, if different people worked on different art assets, this is going to be very expensive very quickly. Stop Killing Games proposal for game preservation prohibitively expensive. Major publishers insist. So I would like to say, and I think I mentioned it last month as Stop Killing Games has picked up steam, I was very apprehensive to Stop Killing Games. I was very unsure of how this would go, because not only am I pro-consumer, I am pro-developer. Not pro-producer, I am pro the people who actually make the games. And I hate the idea of consumers demanding something. I'll just leave it as a nebulous something. I hate the idea of consumers demanding something, and then from this demand, the publishers or producers, the people with the money, put crunch on the developer, saying, hey, fans want this, make it happen, you have the same amount of time, same budget. Like, we'll say for The Crew, the thing that kicked all this off. For The Crew, if fans say, hey, we want a working offline version of this game, and producers could very easily say, okay, hey, developers, for the next The Crew game, you have to develop all of the online infrastructure, as well as an offline infrastructure, same amount of time, same budget. Effectively, make two versions of the game. That's what I was worried would happen. But with what publishers are talking about now, with how expensive that this is getting, is the idea that it's going to take more time and money to make games this way. Okay. Take the time, take the money. You keep laying off the industry as a whole is laying off thousands of employees monthly. I don't want to say weekly or daily, but like thousands of employees monthly. To save some money, they're starting to look towards AI for a lot of bullshit. And so I am of the opinion now, I have learned more information, and I'm willing to say that, like, hey, maybe I didn't take the side of the consumer as fast as I should have. You know, I was too worried about the developer, which I still am. I'm worried about developers every day. You know, I'm worried about people getting laid off. But I am fully on Stop Killing Games' side because it is targeting publishers. It's targeting the people with the money, and people with the money are saying, hey, we're going to have to give them more time and money to do this. Okay. You're already pushing games out before they're ready. You're already putting developers under horrible crunch. Stop it. Give games the time they need to be ready. If it's going to take more time to get a game ready now, okay, that's fine. You know what? Here's a crazy thing I'm going to say. We don't need new games every year. In the indie scene, sure. There are hundreds of independent studios cranking out great stuff every year. That is fine. In the AAA space, Video Game Europe, which represents the likes of Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, Riot Games, Activision, Microsoft, and Nintendo. All of these studios, if they all shut the fuck up for like 12 months, if we don't hear a goddamn thing from any of them for 12 months, that would be awesome. Like, not even, like, from Ubisoft, if we don't hear a single game announcement, and if we don't hear a single layoff, that is a net zero. That is fine. Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, Nintendo, if we don't hear any new announcements from them in the next 12 months, if they go full radio silent, if they don't lay anybody off, if they don't make the headlines for good or bad things, that would be fine. If they shut the fuck up, keep their head down, and focus on providing a quality product to the consumer, that would be incredible. Save the headlines for the indies. You know, have just a year of indie where all the independent developers, all the independent studios get the headlines because major studios aren't doing dick. They have to readjust everything that they're doing for whatever Stop Killing Games has, whatever ramification this has on the industry. It's ridiculous to me how out of touch a lot of studios can be after a certain point when it says, oh, we're going to have to take more time to polish the product. And that's a bad thing? Quality assurance time is a bad thing now? Drives me up the fucking wall. Ubisoft isn't the only studio that orders you to destroy your games once support ends. So there were a couple articles posted in the chat when this started going around earlier in July. Ubisoft basically said that once its games go offline, in the user end, in the end user license agreement, the EULA, it says to destroy your copy of that game. So once the crew went offline, you were supposed to take your physical disc and destroy it if you had a physical disc for the crew, which is baffling to me. But I didn't bring just the Ubisoft one. I brought this article that also mentions... Ubisoft's EULA includes a clause that orders you to destroy its games if service for them ends. I thought, where does it say? The same clause can be found in the EULAs for various games on Steam, including the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Oblivion Remastered. A Phasmophobia dev also pointed to a similar clause in multiple agreements games when the game was called out for the exact same thing 2 years ago. So Phasmophobia is also on that list. No. You know, I think... Here's the thing. If you pay for a game, if it's a free-to-play game that you're playing online, yeah, you sink some money into cosmetics or whatever. That's one thing. But if you are paying for a game that has a limited shelf life, I don't know if this exists in the European consumer protection clauses that we don't have here in the States for whatever reason. But there should be some kind of protection in place that just, you know, if a game dies, consumers should still have access to their dead game. Give them not access to, but leave them with the product so that if they really want to take the time, if you don't care enough about this game anymore, if you don't care about the crew anymore, give people leave the game. And then if people really care, they can break it down and they can create their servers for it. They can start hosting their own, like, small lobbies for these games. It just absolutely baffles me how tone deaf this is. You gave us $60 and also you are left with nothing. You paid us $60 for a limited time, we hope you got your money's worth kind of bullshit. Crafton says that Subnautica 2 delay proves its milestone process is being rigorously managed because it didn't just shove the game out the door, even though lots of people would have bought it. So, Subnautica 2 devs, July, I'm just gonna read this. So this is a more recent article based on the, published 2 days ago. This is a more recent article based on the earlier news of Subnautica 2's delay. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this article. This is from PC Gamer. Again, all of these articles will go up in the Discord server once the stream is over. July was an ugly month for Subnautica 2 and developer Unknown Worlds. In the course of fewer than 30 days, the studio's leadership was gutted, the anticipated early access release was delayed, harsh words were exchanged, and a lawsuit was filed. The dispute turns largely on whether or not Subnautica 2 is ready for early access release. The ousted leaders of Unknown Worlds insist it is, but Crafton says it needs more content and polish before it's ready to see the light of day. So, my issue with that is you are getting it ready for early access. The point of early access is to play stuff, is to add stuff. Look at Hades 2. Hades 2 has done so well for going into early access very early on, not having a lot of content. And then they spent, the last 2 years adding content, getting ready for its very imminent 1.0 release. I just don't know what, let's see if they're, I do fully understand that from the outside, you may think that because there's talk of legal proceedings of Subnautica 2 and it being delayed, that could make you think that maybe within Crafton, our milestone process is being mismanaged. The CFO, Dongkyun Bae, said in response to a question about whether the game had become too burdensome to be properly managed. The Subnautica IP has this big follower base, big fandom base, Bae said, so as long as we market it and we release it into the market, people would say that a certain level of sales from this title would be guaranteed. But what we are seeking to do is we want to make sure that we satisfy the highest level of satisfaction that the gamers have their aspirations. Huh? Alright. It basically, so I've not played the Subnautica games. There's like Subnautica, and then there was Subnautica Sub-Zero or something. There was the standalone release of like the Arctic Ocean one. I've not played either of them, but this does just sound like, okay, it's ready for early access. That's my problem here, is early access does not mean finished. And it sounds like they're trying to get it ready for launch when it's just going into early access. But yeah, lawsuits are being filed. Leadership was ripped away. It's rough. I hope it turns out okay, though, just from the consumer end. I hope during all this legal bullshit, Subnautica 2 isn't scrapped. I would not put it past anybody to say, like, well, the water's tainted. Throw it out. Anyway, more Ubisoft bullshit. Ubisoft says Star Wars Outlaws failed due to declining interest in the franchise. I have heard people say that Star Wars Outlaws is actually a very good game. And while I do agree that I think Star Wars hasn't been great for a while, I didn't buy this game because it was Star Wars. I didn't buy this game because it was Ubisoft. I am so sorry, Ubisoft, but you just make a certain type of game. I've heard that this plays different. This is not a standard Ubi game. However, there is an expectation. And since it's not a very good expectation, I do not have any kind of incentive to pay the exorbitant amount of money. God, what was it? Like $150 for the digital deluxe edition, which included like a digital art book, which is just a slideshow of PNGs. Insane, ludicrous. But yeah, I think this is Ubisoft being incredibly tone deaf and blaming literally anybody other than themselves, like blaming Star Wars for not being popular. Star Wars is still insanely popular. This is wild to me. I might give Star Wars Outlaws a chance. I don't know. If it's on sale. Again, I've heard people who played it liked it. But the bar for Ubisoft is so low. The bar for Ubisoft... And the thing is, I used to love Ubisoft games. The first handful of Assassin's Creed games, like up until 4, I loved those games. The Crew. I played a ton of The Crew 1. What are some other Ubi games? I mean, they used to do tons of different games. You know, they did the Rayman games, the Rabbids games. They do Just Dance. Like, they have tons of other formulas and kinds of games they make. It's just that they make tons of the same game now. Like, all of their games, I don't even know if they are, but they feel like they're worked from not just the same engine, but from the same skeleton. It's baffling to me. Speaking of Ubisoft, 3 former Ubisoft executives have been handed suspended prison sentences. Yeah. So 3 horrible people worked at Ubisoft, and they were given 3 years suspended sentences, which basically means if you promise not to do it again, you don't go to jail. So they are basically on a 3-year probation. These lecherous men who did terrible things are just allowed to walk the earth with the expectation of, you're not going to commit another crime. That's the expectation of society. The expectation of living in the world as a whole is that you're just not going to commit horrible crimes. But they did, so where's the accountability? It's horrible and I hate it. Disgusting. So I had like 3 different articles about all of the Microsoft closures. Basically, they killed the Initiative, which was making a perfect Dark game. They killed Everwild, which was a Rare game, and then downsized Rare, which if we have to live in a world without Rare Studios, that's gonna be awful. And they closed down a new ZeniMax IP. ZeniMax was working on a new MMO that apparently was so fun, Phil Spencer couldn't put the controller down. And then 4 months later, it was canceled. Yo, what's going on? We're talking about just some real bad gaming news. So yeah, they shuttered the Initiative, which killed the new Perfect Dark game. They downsized Rare, which killed Everwild. And I don't think they downsized ZeniMax's new IP, but they did kill the new MMO, even though Phil Spencer said he absolutely loved it. He adored it. So this is a double whammy here. So I just brought this one article that condenses down all of this. Migas, I will let you know that any of the articles that I do talk about here, if people are interested in these articles and want to do some further reading, after the stream, I do put all of these over in the Discord server. So if people are interested in all the gaming news that we've talked about, if you missed some of the earlier articles, all of them will end over in the link portion of the Discord server. There's a link chat. They will end up over there. Just if people are curious. But yeah, the double whammy to this is that they killed 3 games, killed a studio, have killed another studio, that in the same month, in the same breath. Microsoft and Xbox invite developers to a roundtable on AI tools for game development while laying off thousands. So late in July, I think it was, or late in June, I think it was, Microsoft announced a huge layoff that also included the Xbox branch of Microsoft. So this was published early July 3rd. Yeah, it laid off around 9,000 employees across the entire company, including the Xbox and gaming division. And in the same, what was it? Some of those impacted by the cuts are speaking out about how Microsoft is doing its damnedest to replace people with AI as fast as it can. It's terrible. It's awful. It is such it is a terrible time to not be in the 1%. If you are not making as much money as possible at all times, if you are just an employee, if you are just a menial grunt, it doesn't matter what sector you work in. Everybody's looking for a way to cut funding, save money. So within the same breath, Microsoft shut down 3 very promising games. In the ZeniMax article that I didn't bring, there was an employee of ZeniMax said that a future was taken away from the company. They were looking forward to spending years on this. It was a game that wasn't ESO. ZeniMax was looking forward to working on this game for years to come, for supporting this game. It was a future for the company and its employees ripped away for this. And that's horrible. That's terrible. Yeah, no, it's one last article that I have. If anybody else has other things that we haven't talked about yet, feel free to drop them over in the Discord server. I'm actually just gonna make sure I have that up and I'm looking. Feel free to drop them over in the links in the Discord server if there's anything else that people have to talk about, but I have one article left. This one is the scariest to me. Even after people are being replaced with robots. Valve pulls adult-only games from Steam as it tightens rules to appease payment partners. So, earlier this year, if people remember, Mew brought a couple articles talking about how this was going on in Japan. There were some adult visual novels and adult games in Japan that had some very iffy content. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but there was just some very iffy content in these adult games in Japan. And so payment processors, such as the banks were starting to limit what people could buy. And if starting to see all of these games. I'm just gonna pause that. I am not totally for censorship. I think there's a time and a place. I think you just shouldn't say heinous things. You just shouldn't be a heinous person. You shouldn't say vile things. Like, you should just be a decent person. But also for the sake of art, I guess, things shouldn't be censored to a certain extent. I think regardless of how you feel about these games, how you feel about these, for lack of a better word, porn games, adult-only games, sure. Regardless of how you feel about these, banks should not be able to tell you what to spend your money on. I think there was a comparison to this as like, somebody who owns an apartment complex is not liable if somebody's making crack in their apartment. There was like a whole argument of like, oh, you should have been monitoring your tenants. And it's like, that is extremely invasive, in the clause to live in my apartment complex, there's just a thing that says, hey, don't commit crimes in my apartment. They clearly broke that, but I signed a liability thing, or they signed a liability waiver that takes liability off of me, the owner of the apartment complex. Why am I liable for the crack that they are making in the apartment, you know? But I saw very similar arguments to that, where it's like, oh, what if banks are found liable if people purchase illegal things with their money? Well, that's not the bank's fault. That's not the bank's problem. And I am not pro-bank at all. However, I do think this is a crazy overreach for the banks. This is crazy to me that banks can start telling you what you can and can't spend your money on. And I guess it's more so Steam buckling under the pressure from these payment partners. You know, it's not really the banks telling you you can't buy something. It's the banks telling Steam, we're not going to approve these sales. Or it's... I'm sorry, the only thing I can think about is that this is a slippery slope. I saw a short that was like, okay, what do you mean by adult-only game? Like, games actually rated AO? Games that don't have a rating at all? You know, indie games that don't have a rating and just drop on Steam. No rating. Is that an adult-only game, even if it isn't? Games rated M, 17 plus. Like, Baldur's Gate has tons of nudity and sex. You can turn it off. You know, I am all for, like, protecting kids to a certain extent with the parents, like, understanding. Parents... I'm not going to say that, like, oh, parents know their kids. That's not always the case. Sometimes you just have shitty parents. But it's not up to the government. It's not up to the banks. It's not up to companies to decide what is and isn't okay for children. Part of being a parent is monitoring your child. Part of being a parent is looking at your child, you know, watching after your child, I guess, doing some supervisional research on what they are and aren't consuming. I know it's getting harder to do in the digital day and age, but nobody said being a parent was going to be easy. That's why I'm not a parent. That's why I never want to be a parent. Shit is awful. But if this is to, you know, protect kids from certain content, I think this is a gross overreach and a huge shift of responsibility off of neglectful parents. I had something else. I'm sorry, it's early. It's early for me. It's not, oh my god, it's not that early. Parents' responsibility. Steam shouldn't have to censor themselves like this. Payment partners the banks are overreaching. Is that it? Earlier than the normal streams, at least? Yeah, no, it's at least earlier than the normal streams. And that's just because I have, I've got plans in, like, something came up in like, a couple hours, so I couldn't start at my normal time because I'd have to leave, like, an hour in. So, start a couple hours early. Oh, Valve pulls adult-only games. Oh, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. Because Baldur's Gate 3 has tons of sex and nudity that you can turn off. You can turn off all of the nudity in Baldur's Gate 3, but this is where the overreach starts, you know? If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. We were talking about this months ago when this was happening in Japan. So, it's scary, and I'm not looking forward to where any of this is going. Between people being replaced by AI, because it's going to get to a point where games are all made by AI, being reviewed by AI, and, like, monitored by AI. IMO, it's a loop. Delisting a ton of non-AAA horror games as well. Sorry you can't post the... Oh, yeah, it did! Yeah! I did hear about that. I did hear that Twitch... or itch.io got, hit. Spread to itch.io, who went even harder, started... Yeah, I remember, when this broke, it was like Steam started delisting a lot of the, like, adult-only, like, sexual stuff, but... You remember the Fire Emblem controversies? This is cyclical. Yeah. They'll realize they aren't making the same money and won't care. It's not about morals, it's about money. It always is. True. It always is. But I just don't know what the banks have to gain from this, you know? Banks telling you how to spend your money is what this is. It's banks telling Steam, we're not going to approve the sales of these games. I don't know. This is the last article I had. That was like a nice round, like, hour. Does anybody, a lot of the content is, like, illegal, though? Yeah. No, that's true, and that's what I mean, is that, like, it's, like, not in a way to defend banks doing shit. And that's my problem, is that, like, it's hard to defend this stuff. So, like, the only reason why I'm, like, I'm not defending the content, I'm defending people's right to spend their money how they want and live with the consequences of those actions. In the most neutral sense, they are approving things that count as illegal. It's because of the crazy conservative Australian activist group, they're gloating about it. They told the banks that if they didn't do something, they would run a smear campaign that somehow worked. Ugh. Yeah, so it's hard to defend this shit because it is gross, it is illegal, like, the content of the games is blech. But if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And so the thing that I'm concerned about is, you know, how far will the pearl clutchers go? Does anybody have any other articles? It's not even a bank, it's conservatives. They're currently trying to get Detroit become human because of the scene where a child is abused on screen. And that's like an actual kind of artistic game, is the thing. Like, a very classic thing in a very classic thing in a lot of media, like, to show how evil your villain is to have them abuse a child or an animal. How dare we show the horrible truths of the world in media? Exactly. As an artist, as much as media is escapism, media also reflects the world. Remember, like, episode 1 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where Dio kicks a dog? Animal abuse is illegal. It's illegal to kick a dog. But okay, but, like, for 20 years I've watched America scrub grid off cartoons. Oh, true. Like, all the bubblegum pop bullshit that currently exists in media, we've shown horrible truths in, like, decades. Well, So going back to the Detroit Become Human, that game was, like, from, what, 2016, 2017? So it's, like, almost a decade old. But, like, this is why I say that this is a horrible mistake in the sense of pivoting responsibility off of parents. Because this is why rating groups exist. This is why the ESRB exists. This is why the MPAA exists. To review content and assign it a rating accordingly. So, like, M-rated game. These are for adults, but it's not for the kids. Exactly. The conservatives say that. That's my point. My point being that these things aren't for kids anyway. But they keep saying, think about the children. That's my point. Arguments that I'm seeing are that, like, oh, we gotta get rid of the stuff for the kids. That's why the ratings exist. That's why Mortal Kombat is rated M. That's why Mortal Kombat is rated M. That's why this movie is rated R. This movie features, like, very horrible stuff. This movie features terrible things from terrible people, and good people stop them. That's why these movies exist. Invented that because of Night Trap? Yeah! Yeah, Night Trap wasn't even about that! Night Trap, the conservatives were like, oh, Night Trap is a game where you play as a guy trying to break into a house of girls. No, in Night Trap, you play as a wacky Home Alone style house trying to keep burglars out. You play as the fucking house. You play as the McAllister house in Night Trap. Ugh. I know it's not actually... Okay. I know it's not actually for the kids. I know it's not actually for any of this moral high road bullshit that they're trying to push. I know it's not for those reasons. I know it's about money, dude. I know it's about money. However, all of the narratives that they're pushing can so easily just be like... Not assuaded. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. But they can be like... The foundation can be so easily destroyed. You know, you could so easily poke holes in these arguments. Somewhat related tangent, but I'm glad for the past decade, horror movies are starting to get more comfortable killing children characters. Even pets on screen. Makes movie stakes way higher when you don't know anyone is safe. Dude! Hereditary was crazy. My point is that conservatives will pick a fight forever and eternally. Yes. I agree. And I agree about them scrubbing. Then eventually they discover they don't get money. And then they lapse. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Ugh. My point is that while I don't condone the content of these games, I haven't even heard of Bring Her Back. Okay, so my point at the end of all this is that while I don't condone the content of these games, these adult-only games that are being taken off of Steam and itch.io, while I don't condone the content, I think a line in the sand needs to be drawn, otherwise they're just going to keep going. And yes, you're right, they're going to eventually lapse. They're going to say, like, oh, we're not making as much money as we used to, and they're going to back off on that because these games sell. That's the unfortunate truth, is that these games sell. I think the reason itch.io went harder is because they're independent. Like OnlyFans. Wasn't OnlyFans about to get hit? And then the guy who, like the people who run OnlyFans were like, what do you mean people are using our site for porn? And then they were about to, remember how OnlyFans wasn't going to have porn? Yeah, they were going to pull all that stuff, and then they realized that's like 90% of their user base. Yeah. It didn't stop Tumblr, though. I don't know. I'm apprehensive for the future. I don't think this is a good thing. Conservative platform? Yeah. If nobody else has any more articles, I'm gonna call that a stream. Nice solid hour. Actually, I have some time. I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna quickly finish Borderlands 3 Melee only, so that next week we can just start Yakuza Kiwami 2. Because I still have like an hour or two. I've got like an hour and a half. So we're going to finish that real quick. and then I'm going to call it a stream. So, I'm going to put some socials up on stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for hanging out. All the socials are linked there below. There's the Discord server that votes on the games that I play. At the end of the stream, I'm going to post all these links over in the Discord server. It's the beginning of the month. We have a new shirt design. Take a propaganda at these nuts, because fuck propaganda. Don't let them tell you how to think. Make sure you're reading all the books they tell you not to read. You can get this shirt at the shirt shop. That's silverlinings-shop.fourthwall.com. New designs every month. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to get out of here, so be good, be kind, treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and I'll catch you in the next one.